Hey everybody, this is Darwin Ryan, the festival director of the Northfield Festival in Stockholm, Sweden, also a partnership with Barcelona, the Love and Hope International Film Festival. Today we have a great filmmaker from the US. She made this horror film. The title is very beautiful, The Land of the Haunted Dolls. And we have Suzanne. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to have you. We're
Hello
happy.
from the US.
Yes, we're happy to have you, Suzanne.
Thank
So
you.
tell me, first of all, the title is beautiful. We're gonna get there. Where is the idea coming from and why you decide to pull this off?
So the inspiration for the film came mainly from my experiences recovering from trauma and addiction. So you'll see in the film there are several characters who are it's basically it's touched on briefly in the film that each character has some form of substance addiction. And it's based on a novel that I wrote of the same title. And in the novel, it goes into greater detail about each character's struggle with traumatic experiences and substance addiction.
Wow. And how long was the process of the script? I mean, you have a novel, right?
Uh,
Which is how do you adapt that into a script? Tell me.
well, initially, it was an idea for a feature film. That was originally my idea. And I felt that as for a marketing strategy, it would be better to release it as a novel first to help build support for the idea of a film. And so to help publicize the novel, I produced the short film, which is like a prequel to the novel. And the idea is to help raise funding and support for the production of a feature film or possibly television series.
Nice, nice. That's a good point. How was walk me a little bit the pre-production? How was your pre-production? How do you organize everything before you start shooting? And do you do rehearsals? How was the casting process?
The casting process was I auditioned a number of cast members prior to the production, which all took place over one single weekend. So we did do some pre-production meetings, but because the filming site was going to be available to us only on that specific weekend, we were limited in terms of what we could do by way of preparation. Some of the scenes were going to be filmed outdoors. We didn't know if it was going to be raining. So a lot of details had to be decided spontaneously at the time of the shoot. But we did as much pre-preparation as we could.
Well, independent filmmaking, Suzanne is like that. It's nothing weird with
Yes.
that. You do things in this path. I know that.
Right.
So, production. How long was the production times? What was challenging besides, that you didn't know many things? Tell me.
The production, the actual shoot, as I mentioned, was only 2 days. But after that, the period of editing the film extended over a period of a couple of years. Just because I was dealing with some health issues at the time. And so I was, just editing as I went along, as I was able. It was a long production period just in terms of my own personal limitations, but it was also, how it is with independent film in terms of the expense of, getting everything together that you need for finishing the film and then submitting it to festivals. And so it was a long period. Also, part of the reason for that is that I wanted to finish the novel. The novel took me about 3 or 4 years to finish. So I was hoping to arrange the timing of it so that they could come out at about the same time. and to help promote each other. So
Nice. How about how is Susan directing actors? Do you give them room? Do you let them be, or you are more like really strict to do this, do that? How is you to for directing actors, Susan?
I found, this was, as you can see in the film, it's a very diverse cast. And prior to this film, I had not worked with a lot of diverse casting. I mostly, up until this point, had done films with like family members and close friends and, not professional actors. And in this particular case, I had hired professional actors. I hired a professional director of photography. So there were a lot of elements in this film that were new for me. In directing the actors, I did, of course, begin with a script, but there were times when the actors would give me feedback and say, what if we do it this way? They had ideas about their characters, and I felt that it was important to listen and take these suggestions into account. So I did. It was also an exercise in flexibility, allowing them to be part of the creative process. I mean, there are some occasions when there was a particular line that I would say I would like to keep it this way, because of important plot developments that would be, built upon that later. But yeah, for the most part, I tried to be flexible and working with the actors and taking in their suggestions.
Right. How many people were in the cast? Pretty much, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Uh-huh.
Altogether 27 in the cast and crew.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you can see in the film there are,
hmm
I think, probably more than 10 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm watching it right now. Yes. Do you- how? Let's go to the post-production. Tell me about the process of editing because it's
Yes.
very interesting the way you did it. I think you experiment a little bit, right? Which I love it. Because
Yes.
we are artists. We need to experiment with everything we do. Walk me a little
Yes.
bit the editing process.
Sure. A lot of the festivals that have selected the film have considered it an experimental film. It's kind of on the boundary between experimental and narrative film because it does have a story, but it's also very experimental. So the process was very organic for me in ways. I had ideas at the beginning that were in the script of what a particular montage was going to look like. For example, there's a dream scene that the audience will see that in the script, I had a plan as far as main elements that I was going to have in it. But then as I began to edit the footage, certain ideas, would present themselves organically out of the editing process. So there are definitely a lot of things that end up in the film that were not scripted because they came out of the editing process. I'm a huge fan of compositing layers, and when you start putting one layer on top of another, you see things that you didn't see before, or that you didn't imagine, or that you didn't predict. So, so it's definitely it almost evolved on its own in many ways.
Right. Yes, that's what happens in the editing room, right? Another
Yes.
movie happens to me too. I do short films as well. I haven't do feature films, but I've been working in a feature films and a few. And I know
Uh-huh.
it's difficult to do what you pull off here is really hard. It's not easy to manage, I don't know, 30 people, feed them, all the
That's right.
personalities, different personalities. A lot of festivals don't see this, they just focus in this, perfect world. But
Yes.
yes, how do you decide the final master that I'm seeing right now? Do you show to people, or it was more personally for you? How was this process? Say, okay,
Um,
this is ready.
I did, again, because it was such a diverse cast and crew, it was important to me to get their feedback,
Hmm.
because I really wanted to be sensitive to the possibility of like unintentional microaggressions and this kind of thing, where you don't, where sometimes you, as a storyteller, there can be unconscious bias, and so I wanted to avoid that. So I presented it to the cast and crew before submitting it to festivals, saying, please give me your feedback if you have any before I start submitting it to festivals. So I did get some feedback from cast and crew and from family members. But as far as like where to stop editing, because it's such an organic process, you could definitely go on forever.
Hmm.
Sometimes
True.
you just at a certain point you have to say, I'm ready to move to the next step. So um, yeah, I mean, there are definitely things about the film that if I wanted to like spend another 5 years working on it, I definitely could fix a lot of things. But um, I also just wanted to be. I felt ready to tell the story now. So that's how it was an intuitive thing.
Susan, how long was the process from beginning to finish? How many years
So
you?
we shot the film in 2017.
Mhm.
So from the time I began pre-production, which was at the end of 2016, to the end to when I began releasing or submitting the film to festivals was January 2020.
Mhm.
So just over 3 years.
Yeah, films, that's how it works. Yeah,
Yes.
I have one film that I shot 2 years ago, and I'm so insecure about the editing yet, and I haven't released it.
Oh,
Yes, and I
yes.
have two more in the
I have
can.
some unfinished films also. Yes.
Yes, but I gotta put it out, that's for sure. Uh, Susan, what do you think is the most difficult part in filmmaking on the three phases that we have? Pre-production, production, and post-production. I mean, everything is, we need everything, everything is related, but which one is the one that you say, wow, this is heavy, it's annoying, it's difficult? What do you think?
Yeah. For me, it's pre-production, definitely.
Mm.
The hardest part I would say for me is writing the script, because I am a very organic artist and I like to experiment. And so trying to commit to a story at the very beginning is hard. But I know it's important because I have to present it to the actors and to the crew and to say, this is my vision. But um, it is hard. I I feel like I want to say this is not necessarily how it will result, in the end.
Mhm. Right. It's very free, like me. I love to be free on my things, it's that's
Yeah.
art. I guess art is just this freedom to have. What do you
Yes.
learn, Susan? What do you learn from this process of making the film, The Land of the Haunted Dolls, that you will do different
Uh,
on your next project? What do you think?
well, I learned a lot about collaborating with the team. In my previous films, I have worn all the hats really. I was the camera person, and um, I was the costumer, and I was the makeup person,
Me
and I was
too.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in this film, I hired other people to do those jobs, and I learned how to trust other people. That was really, I think, probably the biggest learning process for me on this particular film, is that I learned that other people have really valuable things to contribute, you know, that I don't have to do everything. So I look forward to, if we do end up producing a feature film or a television series, I look forward to more um, delegating of the responsibilities, and sharing the work, and being part of a larger team.
Right. It's good, good. That's nice. Susan, how can we get in touch with you, all the filmmakers from the North Film Festival? Do you have Instagram that you can share with us? And
Yes. So the please feel free to go to my website, landofthehauntedDolls.com. That will point you to my Facebook page. I do also have an Instagram. I also have Twitter. Tierra Symbolica is the username, which, as you know, is Spanish for symbolic earth. So it points to the very symbolic nature of my storytelling. So yes, I encourage all filmmakers and audience members to please explore further, and I look forward to seeing your work as well at the festival.
yes, I'm gonna be the first one to follow you. Yes, that's for
you.
sure. Right away. Yeah,
Thank you.
Susan, I hope to see you around the online festival that unfortunately we have to do online.
Yes,
Yes, best of luck on your nominations. I think you have a horror,
thank you.
or what is coming more. The jurors are working on this in a very quick pace. So we're hoping to have all the nominations by the end of this month, I guess. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Yeah, and maybe I will see you in Barcelona in the Love and Hope International Film Festival. We never
That would
know.
be wonderful. Hopefully we'll be seeing the end of the pandemic soon, I hope.
Yeah, let's hope, right? Because we don't really know where we're going with this.
Yes.
Yes, it's hard.
We've been at it a long time, yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, okay?
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Suzanne, take care.
Bye.